Welcome back. Currently, we are learning Python, and this is day 15 of the playlist titled Python Beginner Boost. Today, we will dive into the world of lambda expressions in Python, a powerful tool that can simplify your code and make it more concise. We will start by understanding the essential concepts of map and filter function and gradually transition into the beauty of lambda expression. So before we dive into the lambda expression, let's quickly cover map and filter. These are built-in Python functions that operate on iterables like list and tuples and apply functions to each element, returning the result in a new iterable. So first of all, let's learn about the map function in Python. So the map function takes a function and one more iterable as argument. It then applies the function to each element of the iterables and return a map object containing the result. To obtain the result, we often convert the map object to a list. So the map function takes two arguments. The first argument is the name of the function and the second argument is an iterable. So first of all, we will create an iterable. So here I am having one iterable called numbers, and it will store some number 1 2 3 comma 4 comma 5. And now I will create a function which will calculate the square of a number. So for creating a function, we will use the keyword def. After that, the name of the function. So name of the function is square, and then we will use the parenthesis. After that, we will use the colon. After that, on the next line, by intending our code, or I mean by giving four spaces, we will be intending our code. And now I want to return the square of a number, so I have to pass a parameter, the number of which I want to create return the square. So I am creating a function called square. It is accepting one parameter. I will multiply the number by itself, so it will return the square. So number multiplied by number, so it will return the square of a number. Now let's learn how to use the map function. So for map function, we will use the keyword map. After that, here we will give the parenthesis because it is a function, so it will require parenthesis, and the first argument is the name of the function. So the name of the function is square. I want to pass the square function and apply it into each element of the iterable number. So I want to apply the square function on each element of the iterable named number. So it will take each element of this iterable. The elements are 1 2 3 4 and 5, and will calculate the square of each element. So 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, and 5 square is 25. So it will calculate all square of all the numbers, and then it will create a map in the memory. So let me execute this code, and once I execute this code, you will see nothing is printed on the terminal. So Python 3 and the name of the file lambda.py, and press enter. As you can see on screen, if I make it bigger, nothing is printed on the screen, because we haven't converted the result of map into a list, so we need to store the result into a list. So let me just store the result into a list. So I will convert the map into a list, and I am storing it into a list named my list, and after that I will print my list. And now if I execute the code, it will print all the elements as you can see on screen. So let me explain it to you once more. First of all, we have created a table. It is a list containing 5 numbers 1 2 3 4 and 5. After that, we have created a function which is calculating the square of the number, which is provided as a parameter. So we are passing one number as a parameter, and it is calculating the square of the number and then returning the result. So it will return the result as a square of the number. After that, we are using the map function. The map function expects two arguments. The first one is the name of the function. So the name of the function which we are creating here, so the name of the function is square, so that's why we have written the function name. After that, the name of the iterable on which we want to apply this square function, and then when we execute this line, it is creating a map into the memory. And for getting the result of that map, we convert the map into a list. So for converting the map into a list, we are using the list function, and we are storing this result into a variable called mylist. After that, we printed mylist. So if I change some values of this list, then it will act accordingly. So let me give some number 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 10. Currently, you can see here 5. The length of the list is 5, but now I have given 6 elements, so the length of the list will also increase to 6, and also the square of this number will be calculated and printed on the screen. So let me execute the code once again. As you can see, we are having 6 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the square of the numbers are printed. 1, 3 square is 9, 5 square is 25, 7 square is 49, 9 square is 81, and 10 square is 100. So this is how map function works in Python. Now let's learn about the filter function. So the filter function works similarly but returns only the elements that satisfy a given condition. Okay, so let's create one more function which will def check even, and we will pass the number. After that, if the number is divisible by 2, then we will return the number. So return num percentile 2 equals to 0. So if a number is divisible by 0, then we will return the number. So again, we will use the function filter, and it will have two arguments. The first argument is the function which we want to apply to the each element of the iterable. So here we want to use the function check even, and we want to apply it to every element of the iterable named numbers. So it will create a map into the memory. We need to convert the map into the list. So we will use the list method to convert the result into a list, and we will store the list into a variable called even numbers. And now if I print this on the console or in the terminal, then it will only have elements. Let me go to the top. So here this list is only having one even number, which is 10. So it means that the even number list will only contain one number. So let me execute the code, and as you can see on the screen, 10 is printed. If I change the list, let me give some more even numbers. So I have added like 4 even numbers in the list, and now if I execute the code, then it will only the second list will only contains the even number. As you can see, 10, 12, 6, and 8 from this list is coming into the list named even number. So what the function is doing here, it is taking each element of the list named number, and then it is applying the check even function to every element of the list. So first of all, it is taking 1, it is passing 1 into the check even function, and it is calculating 1 percentile 2. So 1 percentile 2 is not equal to 0. That means it will not include this element into the list, because it will only include the element which satisfied the condition. So whenever this condition becomes true, it include that element into the list. So if we go to the 10 percentile 2, which is equal to 0, so it will return true. That's why it is considering the element with value 10 into the list. That's why it is printing 10, 12, 6, and 8 into the list. So this is how map and filter functions work in Python. Now let's learn about lambda expression. So lambda expressions, also known as lambda function, are anonymous function in Python. They are functions without a name. Unlike regular function defined using the def keyword, lambda functions are concise and used for one-liners. So as you can see, we are doing lot of things here in one line, and that's where the lambda function come into picture. They help us. So we will try to convert this normal function into a lambda expression or lambda function. So let me just write the syntax of the lambda function here. So we will use the keyword lambda. After that, we will pass the argument. So here argument will come, and after that the expression will come. So this is the syntax of the lambda function. So if we use this function, we have to replace def and square. This everything we will replace with lambda. So we will replace everything with lambda. After that, the argument will remain as it is. So argument will remain as it is. Let me copy that code again here, so it will be easy for you to compare. Paste it here and comment the code. So here we replace def and the name of the function using the lambda keyword. We have kept the argument as it is, and we will also not use the return keyword, and will only use this expression. So it will be num into num, and we need to store the result of lambda into a variable. So we will use a variable called square, and we will store the result here. And now if we call this square using any values, then it will print it. So let me print the square of 2, and let me also comment all the code here. So I will comment the code using, as we have seen, we have to use 3 times double quote. Keep it, end it here. Now if we execute this code, you can see on the screen 4 is printed. So what we have done, converting a normal function into a lambda function, we have to remove the name of the function along with the def keyword with the lambda keyword. Also we will keep the argument as it is, and we will also keep the expression as it is, and we will remove the return statement. So this is how we convert lambda functions in the normal function into lambda function. Now let's learn how to use this lambda function inside this map and filter. So first of all, I will again create a list of number. So number will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now we will again we already know the structure of map function, so we need to store the result of map function into a list. So I will create a list, and I will use the list method. After that I will use the map method, and here I want to pass the function along with the iterable. So iterable is number, and we need to pass the function. Now what we can do, instead of uh, calling this square function here, we will just directly write this lambda expression. So I will copy this lambda expression and I can paste it here, and it will work the way it is working earlier. And now print the list. And let's save the code and execute the code. As you can see on the screen, this 4 is printed because on line number 27 we are passing number 2, and it is calculating the square of this number. So 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, that's why 4 is printed. After that we have used the lambda function inside the map function, that's why it is taking all the elements of this list, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and calculating the square of all the elements and storing it into the variable called mylist. And after that on line number 32 it is printing mylist. That's how lambda functions helps us write clean code, and the code is very concise. And also why we will use lambda function, because if you have created a function and you are not going to use it again into your code, you only want to use it with the map function, then you can directly use a, lambda functions. Let me also explain you how to use filter functions with lambda. So again we will create one more list. Let me go. So that list is check. First of all we have to create a lambda function for that, so we will do that. So check, no, what's the name of that variable? Even numbers. So even numbers, we are storing it into the list called even number. We will convert the result of filter function into a list, that's why we are using the list. After that we will use the filter function, and here we want to apply this lambda expression into every element of the list named number, that's why we will pass the number. And here Now if I go to the top and copy this function and paste it here for comparison so that I can help you write those lambda expression hash hash. So first of all we have to replace def and check even with the name with the lambda. So we will use lambda here. Then we have to keep the argument as it is, so num will remain as it is, and we will have to use the colon. After that we have to keep the expression as it is, so num percentile 2 equals to 0. And now if we print the list even numbers, then it will only have the even numbers. So currently the list is having number 1 2 3 4 and 5. So this lambda function will take every element of the list and check if the number is divisible by 2 or not. If the number is divisible by 2, then it will keep it into the map, and then it will store it into this even number list. So it will only contain the number 2 and 4. Let's execute the code again, and as you can see on the screen, 2 and 4 are printed. So this is all about map function, filter function, and how to convert a normal function into lambda expression. So map function is used to apply a function to every element of the iterables, and the filter function is used to like filter the elements which satisfy the condition inside the methods which we have used. So I hope you are able to understand about lambda expression. Please like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you very much.